This is Connor Bedard, and he was drafted first overall in the 2023 NHL draft to the Chicago Blackhawks, and he's supposed to bring them back to the promised land, bring them back to winning Stanley Cups, but there's only one tiny little problem. He does not have any teammates. I literally did not have to do a single thing to the Chicago Blackhawks roster. This is just how bad they were last season. I mean, taking a look at their roster, it is absolutely terrible. So shout out to them because they did end up getting Connor Bedard first overall, so I guess it worked. But in today's video, we have up to 10 seasons to win Connor Bedard and the Chicago Blackhawks a Stanley Cup. And after every season that we do not win a Stanley Cup, we are going to spin the wheel, see what we get, good or bad, and we are going to either add that or subtract that from the Chicago Blackhawks. And after 10 years, if we do not win a Stanley Cup with Mr. Bedard, we have failed the challenge. I also forgot to mention one thing. This is not rookie Connor Bedard. This is prime 25-year-old Connor Bedard. He's a 94 overall, and his stats are just off the charts. I mean, his shooting is absolutely insane. So this is not rookie Connor Bedard. He's going to come in and immediately be one of the best players in the entire world at a 94 overall. He's a sniper, 25 years old. If you guys do enjoy videos like this, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I post pretty much every second day. Now let's get into the video. At the end of year number 1, obviously Chicago was not very good. They were not predicted to be very good. They would end up finishing 7th in the Central, going 33, 40, and 9. And they would end up finishing 3rd last in the entire NHL. Florida was actually worse, and St. Louis as well. Connor Bedard is going to end up having 28 goals and 78 points in 82 games. Honestly, I'm kind of disappointed. He's a 94 overall in the middle of his prime, and he's only scoring 28 goals. Followed by Jonathan Toews at 65, Johnson 58, Taylor Radish 53, Athanasiou 52, Lucas Reichel 50, Seth Jones 40. Looking at the entire NHL, Connor McDavid is actually going to have the most points with 97. Not one player is going to crack 100 points. Followed by Bread Man's 96, Jack Hughes 96, Austin Matthews 95, Svechnikov 95, Kaprizov 95, Kucherov was up there, Bo Horvat had 92. For goals, Matthews had the most at 57, followed by Ovi's 46, Philip Forsberg had 45, passed to 45. The GOAT Nathan McKinnon had 44, Kucherov 44, Jeff Skinner had 42, and obviously we did not make the playoffs, so let's spin the wheel and see what we get. Alright, here we go. Let's spin the wheel and see what happens, see what we get. Hopefully it's something good. And we are going to add a 90-plus overall defenseman to the Chicago Blackhawks, any of my choosing. So we have added Adam Fox to the Chicago Blackhawks. He's a 92 overall. He's also one of the best defensemen in the entire game. And you're probably wondering why I didn't add Cale Makar to Chicago, and it's because he's already on the wheel as a separate option. So instead, I've added Adam Fox, who honestly puts up a lot of points in the simulation, and that is definitely going to help out our decor. The Chicago Blackhawks would end up not making the playoffs yet again. We would end up finishing 5th in the Central, going 37, 38, and 7. Chicago would end up finishing 25th in the entire NHL, so that's slightly an improvement. At the bottom, though, the Arizona Coyotes, goddamn. I think it is time for Arizona to relocate somewhere else. Connor Bedard is going to have 49 goals and 117 points. He was a minus 14, but we are just going to ignore that. Followed by Adam Fox, who only had 8 goals, but 77 assists for 85 points. Captain Sirius had 70, Tyler Johnson 52, Athanasiou 46, Radish 45. For goals, obviously Bedsy had the most. Taylor Radish had 29 goals. Okay. Jonathan Toews had 21, Johnson 21, Reichel 15. Connor Bedard is actually going to lead the entire NHL in points, followed by Patrick Kane, who had 111, Mark Scheifele 109, Leon Draisaitl had 104, Connor McDavid 103, Kyle Connor 102, Mitch Marner had 100, Stammer had 98, Elias Pettersson had 96. For goals, Patrick Kane is actually going to have the most at 52, followed by Kucherov's 51, Connor Bedard 49, Brad Marchand had 46, McDavid 46, Ovi 44, and Kaprizov 44. And obviously we have missed the playoffs yet again, so let's spin the wheel and see what we get. Alright, let's spin this bad boy and see what we get here. And we are going to be adding Connor McDavid to the Chicago Blackhawks. And just like that, we have added the best player in the entire game, Connor McDavid. He's a 97 overall. He's going to center that first line along with Connor Bedard, who's now on the wing. He's a 94 overall sniper. So a sniper playmaker duo is definitely going to help us out a lot. Honestly, Jonathan Toews, you can come up here on the first line. So we have a two-way forward, a playmaker in McDavid, and a sniper in Connor Bedard on the first line. That should be a very good first line in the NHL. Obviously, Obviously, we still have Adam Fox on the back end at a 92, offensive defenseman. He's going to put up a lot of points. So overall, the team is slowly improving into a Stanley Cup contender. And while it didn't even take that long, to be honest, Chicago has finally made the playoffs. So at the end of year number 3, they would end up finishing 4th in the Central, going 40, 35, and 7. They would end up finishing 17th in the entire NHL. I think we were the worst team that actually made the playoffs. Connor McDavid and Fox would each have 94 points, leading our team, followed by Bedard, who had 90, Jonathan Toews had 66, Seth Jones 53, Anthony Ciu 42, Dickinson 41. For goals, Bedsy's going to have the most at 56, followed by McDavid's 33, Tyler Johnson 22, Anthony Ciu had 20, Jonathan Toews 17. The GOAT Nathan MacKinnon is going to have the most points in the NHL with 111, followed by Brad Marchand's 110, Braden Point 106, Nikita Kucherov had 105, Jack Eichel 104, David Pasternak 102, Troy Terry had 99, Stammer 97, and Mark Stone 96. Mark Stone had 96 points. In every one of my simulations lately, Kucherov is the best goal scorer in the entire NHL. He leads it basically every single season, but in real life, he's not that good of a goal scorer. He's more of a playmaker. Anyways, he would have 59 goals, followed by McKinnon's 57, Bedard 56, Marchand 54, Ovi 53, Jack Eichel had 50, Pastad 49, Matthews 47, and cover boy Trevor Zegras would have 43. And Chicago is going to be playing the Minnesota Wild in round number 1. Chicago would end up losing in game 7 of round number 1 against Minnesota, and the Ottawa Senators are going to go on to beat the Colorado Avalanche in 5 games in the Stanley Cup final. For the playoffs, Adam Fox would lead our team with 7 points in 7 games, followed by Taylor Radish 6, Josh Anderson 5. Oh my god, Connor Bedard was way down here with 3 points in 7 games. Where's Connor McDavid? Connor McDavid didn't score a single goal in the very first round, only 2 assists for 2 points. Dale Makar is going to have the most points in the playoffs with 25, followed by Jonathan Huberdeau, who had 24, Toffoli 24, Nathan MacKinnon 22, DeBrincat 22, Timmy Stu 22. Nathan MacKinnon will take home the Ted Lindsay, the Art Ross, and the Hart Trophy, while Nikita Kucherov, he's going to take home the Maurice Richard. Victor Hedman is going to win the Norris, the Lady Bing, the Braden Point. Alex DeBrincat is going to win the Conn Smythe. Vasi's going to take home the Vezina, and Bo Horvat will take home the Selke. Alright, here we go yet again. Let's spin the wheel, see what we get. And I guess yet again, we are going to add a 90-plus overall defenseman to the Chicago Blackhawks. So we have added Victor Hedman to the Chicago Blackhawks. He's a 93 overall. He's also a two-way defender, which is going to help out Adam Fox, who I believe is an offensive defenseman. Yes, he is. So our number 1 pair of Victor Hedman and Adam Fox at a 93 and 92 is absolutely goated. It's also a +5. At the end of year number 4, the Chicago Blackhawks are actually going to finish first in the Central, going 54, 23, and 5. And we would end up being the second best team in the entire NHL, only behind the Florida Panthers, which technically we would actually be tied with them with the most points in the entire NHL. Connor McDavid is going to lead our team in points with 116, followed by Connor Bedard's 113, Adam Fox at 84, Seth Jones 75, Victor Hedman 60, Jonathan Toews 58. Connor Bedard is going to lead our team in goals with 66, followed by Connor McDavid's 48, Jonathan Toews 26, Taylor Radish at 26, Anthony Ciu 21, Tyler Johnson 19. For the entire NHL, McDavid is going to have the most points, then followed by Bedsy. McKinnon had 96. Oh my god. There is a huge fall off, a huge gap between Connor Bedard and Nathan MacKinnon. Alexander Barkov had 96, Matthew Tkachuk 95, Jason Robertson 93, Ovi had 89, Patrick Kane 89, and Mitch Marner 89. For goals, it was not even close. Connor Bedard had 66. The next closest was Matthews at 53, followed by Ovechkin's 51, Patrick Kane 49, McDavid 48, Kucherov 47, McKinnon 45, Marchand had 43, and Sid the Kid had 40, but nobody had more goals than Mr. Connor Bedard. 66 goals, 47 assists for 113 points, and the Chicago Blackhawks are going to play the Winnipeg Jets in round number 1, and yet again Chicago is going to lose to Minnesota, this time in 5 games in the second round, and the Buffalo Sabres are going to go on to win the Stanley Cup as they sweep Minnesota in 4 games in the Stanley Stanley Cup final. At least Connor Bedard would actually show up this playoff run. 8 goals and 14 points in 9 games, followed by Connor McDavid's 12 and 5 goals. Adam Fox had 11 points. Lucas Reichel had 9. Kaprizov is going to have the most goals at 12 and the most points at 23 in the entire playoffs, followed by Tage Thompson's 23. Alex Tuck had 20. Zuccarello 20. Rasmus Dahlin had 17. Connor Bedard 14. Casey Middlestat had 14. Connor McDavid is going to take home the Ted Lindsay, the Art Ross, and the Hart Trophy, while Mr. Connor Bedard will take home the Maurice Richard. Cale Makar is going to take home the Norris. Connor Bedard is going to win the Lady Byng. Tage Thompson is going to win the Conn Smythe. Vasi is going to win the Vezina yet again. And Anze Kopitar is going to win the Selke. Alright, here we go yet again. Let's spin the wheel, see what we get. And we are going to be upgrading our starting goalie to a 99 overall. This is by far one of the best things on the wheel. And we have upgraded Peter Mrazek to a 99 overall. He's 30 years old. He's got franchise elite potential. This is literally the only time you will ever see Peter Mrazek a 99 overall. So consider yourself special. The Chicago Blackhawks are going to end up finishing second in the Central, going 45, 28, and 9. Only Colorado was better than us in our division. Chicago would end up finishing 6th in the entire NHL, only below the Pittsburgh Penguins, New Jersey, Colorado, Boston, and Florida. Connor Bedard is going to lead our team in goals with 56 and points with 103, followed by Connor McDavid's 87, Adam Fox 73, Victor Hedman 63, Jonathan Toews 52, Tyler Johnson 45, Lucas Reichel 44. For goals, Bedsy obviously had 56, McDavid had 37, and Jonathan Toews had 23. Peter Mrazek would go 38, 21, and 8. Only 3 shutouts, a 906 save percentage, and a 282 goals against average. I mean, come on now, EA Sports. This dude is literally a 99 overall goaltender, and these are the numbers that he's going to put up. David Pastrnak is actually going to lead the entire NHL in points. Actually, he was tied. Both Sidney Crosby and Pasta would each have 107, followed by the GOAT, Nathan MacKinnon, who had 105, Connor Bedard, 103, Evgeny Malkin, 103, Alexander Barkov, 100, Brad Marchand had 94, Jake Gensel had 93, and Matthew Tkachuk, 91. For goals, Nathan MacKinnon is going to have the most at 60, followed by Brad Marchand's 59, Connor Bedard 56, Pasta 55, Malkin 45, Ovi 44, Leon Draisaitl 42, Sidney Crosby 41, and Chicago is going to play the Dallas Stars in round number 1. And yet again, Chicago is going to lose in the second round in 5 games to Minnesota, and the Boston Bruins are going to go on to win the Stanley Cup as they beat the Wild in 7 games in the Stanley Cup final. Connor McDavid is going to have 10 goals, 10 assists for 20 points in 11 playoff games. He was absolutely unbelievable. Bedsy is going to have 16 points and 7 goals. Taylor Radish 11. Lucas Reichel 11. Bergeron's going to lead the entire NHL in points for the playoffs with 31, also 11 goals, followed by Brad Marchand's 26, Pasta 25, Pedersen 23, David Krejci 21, Bertuzzi 21, McDavid 20, Kaprizov 20. Sidney Crosby is going to take home the Ted Lindsay and the Hart Trophy, while David Pasternak's going to take home the Art Ross, and Nathan MacKinnon the Maurice Richard. Charlie McAvoy is going to win the Norris. The Lady Byng to Connor Bedard. Bergeron is going to take home the Conn Smythe. Jake Ottinger is going to win the Vezina, and Bergeron is going to take home the Selke. Alright, here we go yet again after losing to Minnesota in the second round. And we are going to be adding Cale Makar, the best defenseman in the entire NHL. He's a 94 overall. So there we go. We've added Cale Makar to the Chicago Blackhawks. He's a 94 overall, the best defenseman in the entire game. His stats, I mean, are absolutely insane. He's going to be on the first defensive pair with Victor Hedman. They got a +5 there, and Adam Fox is slotted down to the second D pair. Chicago's yet again going to have a great regular season, winning 52 games, losing 25, 5 in overtime. And we would end up being the second best team in the entire NHL, only behind the Boston Bruins, who had actually only 1 more point than us. Connor Bedard is going to lead our team in goals with 60 and points with 113, followed by Connor McDavid's a 90, Adam Fox 78, Cale Makar 75, Victor Hedman 70, Jonathan Toews 62, Tyler Johnson 40. For goals on our team, McDavid had 36, Jonathan Toews at 23. Nobody else scored 20 goals. I guess Bedsy would score all the goals for us using that goddamn toe drag release. Bedard would end up having bring the most points in the NHL with 113, followed by Austin Matthews, 106. Sidney Crosby at 100, William Nylander, 100, Brad Marchand, 98, Kaprizov, 98, McKinnon, 96, Mitch Marner, 96, and Jack Eichel, 94. For goals, Matthews would actually have more goals than Connor Bedard at 66, followed by Ovi's, 49, Sidney Crosby, 49, Leon Draisaitl, 46, Svechnikov, 43, Marchand, 43, Eichel, 43, and Patty Kane, 41. And the Chicago Blackhawks are going to play the Calgary Flames in round number 1. And somehow we are actually going to lose in the very first round in Game 7 yet again, this time to Calgary. And the New York Islanders are going to go on to win the Stanley Cup as they beat Vegas in 6 games in the Stanley Cup final. I mean, Connor Bedard would perform in the first round, 3 goals, 4 assists for 7 points in 7 games. Seth Jones had 7 points, McDavid 6, Hedman 6, Cale Makar 6. I just have no idea how we're just losing in every single Game 7 possible. Phil Kessel is going to lead the entire playoffs in points with 26, also 15 goals for the Vegas Golden Knights. He's an 85 overall, 35 years old. Phil the Thrill, the greatest player of all time, followed by Evgeny Malkin's 26, Sidney Crosby 25, Marchessault 24, Mark Stone 24, Barzell 22. But man, I cannot believe Phil Kessel leading the entire NHL in goals and points for the entire playoff run. Connor Bedard is going to take home the Ted Lindsay, the Art Ross, and the Hart Trophy, while Matthews is going to take home the Maurice Richard. Cale Makar is actually going to win the Norris. Parise is going to take home the Conn Smythe. What is this, 2013? Peter Mrazek is actually going to take home the Vezina, and Alexander Barkov is going to take home the Selke. All right, we are definitely going to need some help here, so hopefully we can get something good on the wheel. And we are going to be adding the highest overall goalie in the entire NHL, which I believe is Andrei Vasilevskiy at a 94. And there we go. We have added the highest overall goalie, which is Andrei Vasilevskiy. He is a 94 overall, 28 years old. His stats, I mean, he's the best goalie in the entire game. What do you expect? But unfortunately, he's probably going to be the backup to Peter Mrazek, who is a 99 overall. But I mean, we desperately needed something else other than a backup goalie who's going to play like, what, 16 games maybe? Looking at our forward core, it's not the greatest. We haven't had any upgrades besides Connor McDavid. Defensively, we're very good defensively, and we have very good goalies, so obviously I want to add some offense here. At the end of year number 7, the Chicago Blackhawks are going to end up finishing with a record of 45, 30, and 7, which was good enough for second in the Central, and overall we would end up finishing 10th in the entire NHL. Connor Bedard is going to have 67 goals and 113 points, tied with McDavid, who also had 113. Adam Fox had 81, Jonathan Toews 64, Victor Hedman 62, Cale Makar had 59, Seth Jones 52. For goals, obviously Bedsy had the most. Other than that, though, McDavid had 49, Taylor Radish 24, Tyler Johnson 22. Peter Mrazek would end up going 33. Oh my god, what is going on here? Why is our goaltender stats so god awful? Neither of them put up a 900 save percentage, and they each had 3 goals against per game. Only 2 shutouts for a 99 overall goaltender. That's just so embarrassing. Like, what? Why is our goaltender so shit? I don't understand. I literally do not understand. Brad Marchand is going to have the most points in the NHL with 117, followed by Connor Bedard's 113, Connor McDavid 113, Austin Matthews 109, Bo Horvat had 108, Panarin had 107, Marner 107, McKinnon 105, and Mika Zibanejad 104. For goals, Bedsy had the most at 68, followed by Patty Kane's 53, Austin Matthews 52, McDavid 49, Marchand 48, Nathan McKinnon had 47, and Matthew Barzell would have 45. For defensemen, Adam Fox is going to have the most points at 81, also 10 goals. Charlie McAvoy, 74. Where the hell is Cale Makar? Is only going to have 5 goals in 82 games as the best defenseman in the entire NHL. And Chicago is going to play the greatest team of all time, the Colorado Avalanche, in round number 1. And Chicago would end up getting dominated by Colorado, kind of like how your dad dominates you after a couple drinks. And the Boston Bruins would go on to win the Stanley Cup as they beat Dallas in 6 games in the Stanley Cup final. I mean, Jonathan Toews is actually going to lead our team for the first round in points with 5 in 5 games. That says it all, really. McDavid only had 3, and Connor Bedard literally had 1 goal and 1 assist for 2 points in 5 games. That is embarrassing. For the entire playoff run, Brad Marchand is going to have the most points at 29. Actually, he was tied with Joe Pavelski. They would each have 29. David Krejci had 28. Jason Robertson, 26. Bergeron, 26. Pasta, 25. Brad Marchand is going to take home the Ted Lindsay, the Art Ross, and the Hart Trophy, while Connor Bedard, he's going to take home the Maurice Richard. Charlie McAvoy is going to win another Norris. David Krejci is actually going to take home the Conn Smythe. Stuart Skinner is going to win the Vezina, and Alexander Barkov is going to win the Selke. All right, let's spin it again. Hopefully we get something good because time is running out for us here. And we are going to be adding Mario Lemieux at a 96 overall to the Chicago Blackhawks. And there you go. We have added Mario Lemieux to the Chicago Blackhawks. He's a 96 overall. He's going to play center on the second line, which is definitely going to help us out, considering we're basically a two-man show on offense with McDavid and Bedard. But now we have Mario Lemieux commanding that second line center position. So at the end of year number 8, Chicago's yet again going to finish first in the Central, going 57, 22, and 3. And we would end up finishing second in the entire NHL, only behind the Boston Bruins, who would end up winning 60 games. Bedsy is going to have 67 goals and 111 points, followed by Connor McDavid's 104, also 40 goals. Mario Lemieux had 90 and 48 goals. Cale Makar had 78, Adam Fox 72, Victor Hedman 56, Taves 53. For goals, I mean, it was just the big three that basically had all the goals on our team. Peter Mrazek would actually improve this season, going 42, 15, and 2, 6 shutouts, a 916 save percentage, and a 242 goals against average, which is not bad at all considering what he was putting up before. For the entire NHL, Connor Bedard's going to have the most goals at 67 and the most points at 111, followed by Nikita Kucherov's 104, David Pastrnak 104, McDavid 104, Draisaitl 101, Johnny Hockey had 101, Matthews 99, Marner 97, and Braden Point 96. For goals, other than Bedsy, was Nikita Kucherov at 55, Pasta 55, Ovi 53, Draisaitl 51, McKinnon had 50, Lemieux 48, and Matthews 48. Patrick Laine was up there too with 44. And Chicago is going to play the Edmonton Oilers in round number 1. And finally, the Chicago Blackhawks have made the Stanley Cup final. We are up against the New York Islanders. Can we take home the Stanley Cup in year number 8? And finally, Connor Bedard and the Chicago Blackhawks have won the Stanley Cup after 8 goddamn long years. We would end up beating the New York Islanders in 6 games in the Stanley Cup final. And Connor Bedard has returned a Stanley Cup to Chicago for the very first time since 2015. We are yet again Stanley Cup champions. Mario Lemieux is actually going to take home the Conn Smythe for the Chicago Blackhawks, our newest addition in his very first season with Chicago. He's going to win the Stanley Cup and the Conn Smythe. Finally, the Stanley Cup has returned to Chicago. And here comes the captain, Connor Bedard, Mr. Toe Drag Release himself. And here's the captain, Connor Bedard, lifting the Stanley Cup for the very first time in his career. It took him 8 years to get here, but he's finally here, and he's restored faith in Chicago as they are looking to continue their dynasty. For the playoffs, Mario Lemieux would go absolutely insane, scoring 22 goals and having 39 points in 24 playoff games. That Conn Smythe was definitely well-deserved. Followed by Connor Bedard's 19 goals and 33 points. Cale Makar had 28, McDavid 23, Victor Hedman 19, Adam Fox 18. There it is. The Chicago Blackhawks are Stanley Cup champions yet again. Connor Bedard is going to take home the Ted Lindsay, the Maurice Richard, the Art Ross, and the Hart Trophy. A clean sweep on all the individual awards. Cale Makar is going to take home the Norris. Pasta is going to win the Lady Byng. The Conn Smythe, obviously, to Lemieux. Peter Mrazek is going to win the Vezina. And Anze Kopitar is going to take home the Selke. And there you go, boys. Connor Bedard has completed the challenge of winning a Stanley Cup in 10 years with the Chicago Blackhawks. And that will do it for this video, boys. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I post pretty much every second day. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, don't be silly. Wrap your willy.